Everyone, my name is Jessica Wyatt, and this is my literacy and language project. For my project, I chose the book 10 Little Toes, 2 Small Feet by Christy Dempsey. So the first linguistic skill that I chose was semantics, and this skill focuses on the meaning of words and language. That includes the literal definition and also the emotional and feelings definition associated with the use of that word. So in my story, 10 Little Toes, 2 Small Feet, semantics are targeted by exploring different body parts, numbers, and even the colors on the page. And though the colors are not actually in the text language, I think it's an important part that could be emphasized when reading this book. So the semantics specifically are toes and feet, the numbers 10 and 5, and various color pages that can be talked about, such as blue, green, pink, white, and yellow. For the pre-symbolic activity for semantics, I chose to use the scaffolding procedure of binary choice to work on single word production. So when reading, I could say, is that a hand or a foot when pointing at a picture of a child's foot in the story? And if the child says foot, I would praise them and say, yes, yes, that is a foot, good job. Or if they say it's a hand, when I'm pointing at the foot, I could say, oh, you're right, it looks like a hand, but it's a foot. And when reading, I could also point to a yellow page and ask if it is yellow or green. Again, praising if they got it correct or gently sharing the actual color. Lastly, I could ask the child after reading, 10 toes are 10 times sweet. And I could ask if there are 10 toes or 5 toes. The symbolic activity, I chose to use the scaffolding procedure of corrective feedback, again working on single word production. And while reading the book, the child might point to a picture of a bucket and say, look, it's a cup. And I would say, you're right, it looks like a cup, but it's actually a bucket. When reading the book, also, the child might look at a page and say that it is the color purple. But I could say, oh, you're right, I love the color purple, but this is similar to purple, but it's actually blue. The next linguistic skill that I chose to work on is phonological awareness. And this is the ability to recognize words with sounds in spoken language. So this could be like rhymes, syllable awareness, word awareness, initial and final word sounds, phoneme segmentation, etc. So in 10 Little Toes, 2 Small Feet, the phonological skills that are presented for the majority are the same initial syllable and rhyming. Specific examples are 10 toes, 10 times, 10 toes taps, 10 toes trails, etc. So a lot of T's in the initial consonant. And then rhyming, there's a lot of rhyming such as air, there, tap, nap, floor, door, etc. So the pre-symbolic activity I chose for this skill is I wanted to work with the procedure extension. So the child might point to a picture of the toes and say, toes. And I could reply with, yes, the 10 toes tap. The 10 toes are tapping. And then after finishing the line, 2 small feet, 10 times sweet, the child might imitate by saying the word sweet. And I could reply with, yes, the feet are sweet in the seat and the heat, by extending their word sweet and also practicing different rhymes. And then moving on to the symbolic activity, I wanted to use the procedure of recast. And so after reading 10 toes tickle, the child might say, tickle monster. And I could say, does your mom or dad tickle your 10 toes? Or do you like your tummy tickled? So we're working on the T, initial consonant. And then after reading 10 toes make a muddy bath, these 10 toes should make a bath. The child might share that they took a bath that day. I could respond with, do you ever do math in your bath? Or what path do you take to your bath? That's recasting their sentence and then also practicing those rhyming skills again. The last linguistic skill that I wanted to focus on was morphology. And this is the way that words are put together using morphemes or smaller pieces of words. So in the book that I chose, the morpheme skills that are presented for the majority are adding ing and s to the ends of words. Specifically, there are toes, times, crawling, walking, etc. So the pre-symbolic activity, I wanted to use the scaffolding procedure of build-up and breakdown to work on those S's and INGs. So after reading 10 toes walking, I could say, walking down the street, the toes are walking, toes walk, walking toes, the toes are walking down the street. And similarly to this, after reading 5 toes here and 5 toes there, I could say, there are 5 toes on your foot. 1 toe, 2 toes. There are 5 toes on your foot. And then the symbolic activity, I wanted to use the scaffolding procedure of expansion. And if the child reads 10-toe curl rather than 10 toes curl, I could say, yes, the 10 toes curl. Can your toes curl? Also, if the child reads crawled through the back door, I could say, yes, the baby is crawling out the backyard door. Have you ever crawled through the backyard door? So these are some ways that I could work on the ing, ed versus the s adding on to words. So yeah, my citations.